All right, since it is 4:30, we will call this meeting of the Community Resources and Tourism Committee to order. It looks like we have all of the members of the committee here in attendance, so we can let the roll affect that. Approval of the minutes. If everybody's gotten a chance to look those over, were there any changes or modifications? Seconded by Larry Bjork. All in favor? Minutes are approved. Any public comment?
Yes, there's one public comment, which I will share here. So from Terry Nichols, Town of Colfax. His comment is, I was reading Resolution 58 the other day and noticed that this resolution was approved back in June of 2016. In March of 2016, the directional planning process was approved as well. I will attach Resolution 58 in this email. As a Dunn County citizen who follows broadband at the township level, county, and the state and federal level, I think it would be beneficial for this committee to take a snapshot of where this committee is now as it relates to broadband. After watching broadband conferences and meetings this summer, it seems that the 3 Ps are essential: public-private partnerships. Who at the county level is this point in contact? Is it the EDC or the CRNT committee? While other counties in the state have extension involved, it seems that is not the case for Dunn County after following the CRNT committee meetings. I also learned that mapping is crucial when going for grant monies. What is the status of mapping data for Dunn County relating to broadband after years of work? Who is the keeper of this data and how current is this data? It's no secret that there will be millions at the federal level in the middle mile and the BEAD programs. The Public Service Commission is already committed to have 7 to 9 months of planning and reached out to all levels of government for the state to get its share. Dunn County is broadband certified and telecommuter certified by the State Broadband Office. What does this mean to this committee? I'm aware that the EDC position is being discussed numerous times this past year, and the EDC is in contact with other counties in the state. Hopefully, there will be some clarity in the near future as to who will be the broadband contact for Dunn County. I believe this committee is responsible for establishing that person. Respectfully, Terry Nichols.
Good points, Terry, if you're listening in. Something to think about for our next meeting. Okay, let's move on to our staff report from our extension educator. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't maybe, yes, kind of jiggle the order of everything around. Let's throw things over to Jason.
Sure.
Make introductions.
Yep. Jason Hausler, Assistant Dean, new title that I'll update you on here for the North Zone, formerly backfill for Area 6 here.
Big wig now. Kristen Bruder, I'm the new Area Extension Director for Area 6, so Dunn, Chippewa, and Eau Claire counties. And I've formerly worked here as an extension educator, so that's why it's like coming home.
Coming full circle. Wonderful. So we're going to hear from our extension educator, so take it away.
Thank you. I am Louisa Gerasimo. I'm the new Human Development and Relationships Educator. We'll be focusing on family engagements and relationships, family engagement and relationships. And I'm here to just tell you a little bit about what I'm doing as I learn my role. Many of you know I was here for 4.5 years in 4-H. So I'm familiar with extension and I'm taking some of the trainings, and actually one program that I started on the positive youth development side, I'm bringing with me over to the human development side, and we'll talk about that pretty quick here. So is this my clickety clicker? All right. See if I can control the technology. That's always the part that makes me nervous. There we go. So just to back up a little bit and explain what extension is, I think most of you know what extension is, but it occurs to me that we have had new board members who seemed unsure as to what exactly extension is. I'm not going through a whole PowerPoint to explain extension, but the part that I really appreciate is the connection between UW-Madison, all of the research power and the facilities and the availability of resources there, and our counties, some of us who are very far away from Madison. And that connection goes both ways because of educators working in communities. We get to know the needs and the problems of our local communities, and we are able to express that to the university. An example I'll give from when I first started working here was the really startling rise in youth vaping. So sometimes things start in communities and we know it's a problem before it's actually gotten national or state attention. So I'm just giving that as one example of the way that information flows both ways so that things can be researched and we can come up with evidence-based programs and educational systems to help with problems that are confronting our community and also to support the things that are going right in our community. So you probably know we're in most of the counties and tribal regions in Wisconsin, and I'm going to focus here on out on our county. So my new role in human development and relationships, we are providing the tools Wisconsinites need to thrive. We're working at building family systems that are stable and safe and secure, because we know that the family is a really important unit and family looks very different to different families. So we're not defining what is family, but to work within that family unit to make sure that people have what they need to thrive is something that is a goal of the work that we do. We support families in caring for each other in ways that promote growth and understanding, and our programs promote strong communities, coach positive parenting, and help put technology, mindfulness, and financial awareness to use. So Dunn County's focus right now is I was hired to work in the area of family engagement and relationships. However, I'm working closely with my Area 6 partners who are in the same institute. Some of you may have met Jean Walsh at some point. She's been with Extension for a long time. She works in Chippewa. She doesn't do some of the parent education classes that I'll be offering, so she refers to our county, and I will be referring people from here to her if they need help in financial education. She's a certified coach and has her international financial facilitators certificate or something like that. So she's currently offering engaging or encouraging financial discussions to our staff, our professionals on the front line. And so I shared that recently with Human Services and with Stepping Stones and with the Bridge to Hope and any other partners that I've met with. I'll talk a little bit more about meeting with some of those partners, but I was able to share that flyer. It's a free program in October. It's via Zoom. It could be really convenient for some of the people who are frontline workers dealing with families in crisis or having a struggle with finances. It's hard to talk to people about money. You probably know that from your own household. It's one of the areas that people really get hung up on. So it's really great to have a seasoned professional that I can call on and who's offering services across our area. And I also have a colleague named Yia Lore, who is in Eau Claire, and we're going to be working closely together on co-facilitating some of the parenting projects that the two of us will have coming up in the coming year. So right now I am still just getting started. I think I officially started in June, but I got COVID after 4-H camp, not surprising. And it took me a few weeks to actually get my feet back on and start up the programming here. So when Stephanie Hintz left, she was doing a number of different programs. And the one that I heard about first and got the plea for, can you please keep it going without a delay, was the Parents Forever class. And that's county clerk and judges court order that for parents who are splitting up and are going to be co-parenting. It can also be taken by anybody who's dealing with a change in custody who's not court ordered. So sometimes grandparents end up with a generation of children they weren't expecting to raise, and they also have to have a relationship with the other parent. So you know, sometimes people die, sadly, or they go to jail or they're in rehab, but that still often leaves that relationship for sharing children back and forth with another parent. So that class is ongoing. I got trained in that right away through the University of Minnesota. It's a 25-year-old program. Very strong research showing that it works, that it helps families do a better job when they're splitting, and it helps center the welfare of the child. But we don't ignore the welfare of the parent, which is one of the things I think is different about this co-parenting program, is it spends a little bit of time on self-care. any of you who have taken care of children know that when you're not at your best, it's really hard to be at your best as a parent. So we do focus on the parents' relationship with each other and taking care of themselves, and then that focus on the children. So I've got that up and running, and I'm cooperating with several counties up north to offer that via Zoom on Monday nights. I think one Monday per month ongoing, and that's for people who can get that Zoom connection. And then I also have a Saturday morning class that I'm offering once a month here in this building in person, because I found some of the people just struggle with the technology, or they have learning differences where they really need a face-to-face. So we're gonna, for the meantime, I'm offering it 2 different ways, and I'm hoping that that's gonna work out. And Monday, next Monday will be my first try helping 2 colleagues from Washburn and Barron County run the online one. And then this Saturday, I think I have one right here in the county building. And then making reading memories was another one I got a phone call on before I'd even started. And that was because Heather Pica at the jail was one of my 4-H club leaders, and she and Stephanie had worked really closely with a well-researched program called Literacy Link that has a program called Making Reading Memories. There's a workshop on interactive reading that we offer to incarcerated parents. If they qualify, they can select a book to read to their child. The child's, the other parent, the custodial parent, has to agree. And of course, there can't be any restraining orders or things like that. But the book is then mailed, physical mail, and the digital recording is sent in an email, so that the child gets the benefit of watching their parent read them a story while they have that story in their lap. And that has been shown to really change the ability of the family to weather these long-term times when they're apart. So we want to, continue that family relationship. It also promotes language and literacy skills. We're teaching both parents how important it is to interact, do the serve and return with their children. And if you want the cutest video ever on YouTube, look for Can Peekaboo Change the World? It is the youngest TED Talk person ever. I think she's 8. And it will really change your understanding of how the brain works and how little children develop. So we talk about serve and return when we're reading books, an interactive, highly child-led. So it's not just mom or dad want, and the kid is just sitting there passively. And that is something that people will take home after they leave their incarceration period, we hope. So I don't know if you guys realize this, but the United States has one of the highest rates of incarceration of all industrialized nations. In our country right now, 1 in 14 children has a parent incarcerated. So it's not like this is just a program that doesn't really matter because there's just a few people who have parents in jail. It's actually a lot of families have somebody in jail right now or in prison. So we're going to keep that program going. And it's a really nice cooperative effort between the Sheriff's Department, the Dunn County Jail Program Coordinator, Heather Pica, and myself. So I had my first one, slightly awkward, but I think I did a pretty good job, and I bet I'll get better at it as we go. So we have a special shirt for them to put on so that they don't have to wear the orange jumpsuit while they're reading to their kids. And the rest of it is all grant funded. So I'm not even buying the books. And we just found out we got that grant again across Extension across the state. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then one more program. And Jason, do you think I could just have you hand out all of these? I'm going to put you to work now that you're assistant dean. We don't want you to get too big for those size 15 shoes or whatever you got there. Yeah, both. I'm putting my bosses to work. Okay, that's how you roll. Youth Forward Wisconsin. Anybody heard of a universal childhood savings accounts as a concept? They've been debating them a little bit in Madison. Milwaukee has a program. St. Paul has a program. Oakland, California. I believe the state of Maine has a program. Indiana has a whole bunch of areas in Indiana. And the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation is supporting Wisconsin as we attempt to do this universally across Wisconsin. We've been studying this since 2020 across Extension, and I think we have people from 4 different institutes involved. And I think that's kind of neat that Extension people are working out of their silos to promote something that is really low-hanging fruit. And I'd ask you to take a look at the thing about childhood savings account. It's kind of like blue writing, and it has a piggy bank. I won't read you the statistics, but I'll tell you this, a very small amount of money put into a savings account for every kid in Dunn County could have a huge impact on how many kids graduate from our high schools, how many go on to other kinds of school, whether that's a VOTEC, an apprenticeship. There are ways if you want to set it up, and we're just getting going here in Dunn County with the Community Foundation. There are even ways to set it up so that it can serve as an account for entrepreneurs to start a business. The one in Wisconsin, there was some debate about having a universal savings account for retirement. And there was some interest in the legislature on both sides of the aisle of maybe even looking at combining those two programs so that people in Wisconsin will be better off as they get older instead of worse off as they get older. And as you know, things are a little difficult right now to get anything passed is tough. So after all of us working on this statewide, each of us is sort of going forward in our own community. In my case, Georgina Taggart at the Community Foundation got a little excited when she asked how many people were born here. I had to go look that up each year. It's like 400 and some, so it's not a huge number. And she's like, well, we could totally do that. I mean, I was saying, can you put 10, could we get a fund to back us for $10 for every kid? The cool thing about this program is it is both universal for everybody. And then you can also work on it being progressive to help families who are going to be less likely to get through school and to be able to do a good job with careers. I know this county loses young people. We want to keep them here. We want people to be thriving. So this is some low hanging fruit because the amount of money that they studied in a pretty well thought out study was for lower income families who had $1 to $499 in a savings account that they can't touch until the child graduates from high school. And people who have their kids with one of these accounts had some pretty far reaching effects. One of them is that the kids were 3 times as likely to finish, 3 times as likely to go to college and 4 times as likely to finish. And the one that blew me away that we heard recently from a researcher is that the rate of maternal depression in families with these small accounts dropped. So to me, that says it's not the money. We all know that like, you know, $80 is going to maybe buy you part of a textbook right now, right? But what happens when somebody says your community believes in you, you just got out of the hospital, here's your certificate. We started an account for you in Dunn County. And if you want to have milestone gifts, if grandma and grandpa put $5 in, we'll match it. If you read 100 books, I mean, we can decide on the parameters. So that's part of what I'm doing in the next year is I'm going to be pulling together, I hope, a work group or a steering committee with the Community Foundation to figure out what do we want in Dunn County, because we can decide that. But we could take people who, you know, are struggling and hold some carrots out for them and make it a little bit fairer path for people to go on to school. 1 out of 10 poor families, kids do not go to college. No, 1 out of 10 gets to college and the 9 out of 10 do not. So we have a disparity in, you know, middle class or privileged families versus those that are poor or working class. And I know we have a lot of farmers who are struggling who it may just seem like college is out of the question. But when you have a bank account set up specifically for after high school, it can really implant some hope at a time when I think some people are feeling a little hopeless. I know my younger kid was born in the late 90s. So I guess he's a millennial. He's got a lot of pretty depressed, unhappy friends. You know, they tried college, they didn't do well. They came out with a lot of debt. They're servicing the debt, but they don't have the degree. They see the future as sort of negative. Things are on fire. There's floods. College loans are crazy. You know, they have all these reasons. So I think we need to fight back as a community and try and do some more hope building. So this is something I'm very excited about, and I'm excited that I already have some partners. There are some funds at the Community Foundation, people who are big funders who asked Georgina about this maybe 2-3 years ago. So when I came to her, she's like, oh, I've had people ask me about this. Like, this is a really good idea. So again, something that is research-based and has shown some real improvements for people. I'm getting too excited and going on way too long. I'm not going to read you this, but this is currently who I'm working with for a community needs assessment. There hasn't been one since Stephanie Hintz started in 2017, 18, a while. So I'm going back to people that we have partnered with or maybe partnering with, and I have this about 2/3 done. I've gone to a lot of staff meetings and I've done just what I'm doing here. Talk about some of the programs I'm planning to offer, some that I'm already offering, and then I'm going to be offering different ones depending upon what the community assessment tells me the needs are. Already, I've had several people say, I really wish my staff could do real colors. Are you trained in that? I'm not yet, but my goal is to get trained in the coming year, and Kristen is supporting that effort so that we can help people who are trying to improve their climate. If you think about all these people, some are right here in this building. Others are our partners for many of the work, the goals that we have in Dunn County. So if we're able to improve climate in a work environment, we should also see the ripple effect of that, of seeing that people are doing a better job serving our community better. Any questions about this list? I am also, of course, adding every time I go to one staff meeting, people say, oh, have you talked to so-and-so? So I'm pretty sure my list will grow. And I do not have the public and private schools nor the daycares on here. I'm thinking those may have to be mailed packets once I know what programs I'm offering. But I'd be happy to hear from you guys if you think I'm missing something. So I'm new at this community assessment stuff in this particular role. I want to do it right. And I have a program manager who's also brand new, who's helping with the area of family engagement. And I think that support, she's very focused on making sure that we have core programming that's really been tested and we know that it works. So most of my programming will be in a core area, and then I have some flexibility to work with what the community is asking for that may or may not be a core program. So coming soon, I'm getting trained in meeting facilitation sometime late fall. And then there's a couples workshop we're being trained in this fall with Champaign-Urbana. It's part of a study, a long-term study to see if this particular program works. And they're using our staff across the state of Wisconsin to do the facilitation piece. It's mostly online, but there'll be some online group facilitation of couples, as far as I know. Still learning about that. And then other parenting courses. Bridge to Hope, for instance, said, do you have anything specifically for parents dealing with rambunctious toddlers? So sometimes people have very specific needs. Any questions?
Any questions for Louisa?
I don't want to drag it out, but the Parenting Forever program, is that just for couples that have been divorced? And then are told to
Yeah, so Parents Forever can be for any couple that's splitting. They don't need to have been married, and they don't necessarily need to be parents. They just need to be in the parenting role. So most of the people who come, Larry, are coming from the county's family courts that are saying you need to go do this before we can make you officially divorced.
okay, because that's what my question was, because at the county picnic, I was talking to one of the judges, court people, about they were going up to Barron County to fit these courtroom.
Larry, put your mic on.
Whitney's courtroom. And I don't know what the program is, but it's sort of like a program to, just keep your butt out of trouble, and how we can. And it would seem to me that what I've heard about the Parents Forever program, it seems like an early intervention type thing. Because let's face it, if you're doing nothing but fighting at home, you're gonna go downtown and you're gonna find a way to make a fight with somebody.
Yeah, so like when you're off track in one area, it tends to follow that you will be off track in other
Right,
areas.
so I mean,
right?
you got a lot of areas there that you can work in, but just everything that I've heard about Parents Forever is that if we can encourage people to do it before the dam breaks, would be great.
Right, and that's the couples facilitation. I'm hoping that's something that does turn out to work, in which case then I would be able to bring that to the county. And that's more ahead of time, so that's not post breakup. It's when couples are going, we need to do a better job being a couple. I think people often find there's times in their life, it might be a certain number of years after they're married or after they have children or when they've moved to a different state where things are really difficult or finances come up. So that is my hope, is to be able to offer something earlier before things fall apart. And that's a really good point, Larry.
Yeah, because everybody isn't as lucky as I am for knowing who's always right and who's usually wrong.
Yeah, that's what my husband says too. He's like, the longest lasting marriages are the ones where the husband realizes the wife is always right. And I'm like, well, okay, I'll go with that. All right. Any other questions? I will turn off my mic. Thank you for this opportunity to reintroduce myself. I'm very excited about this role. I am really enjoying it.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to our new area extension director. It is actually on the agenda, so.
Jason and I were supposed to connect today, and between our schedules, it did not happen. So
Strangers in the night, right?
yeah.
If it's okay, Chair,
Yes.
I'll take the lead and Kristen can fill in, and I want to say, great job, Louisa. I think we in Extension, we talk about Extension like our children. We could go on and on forever. So I will try and keep my remarks brief. Again, the biggest thing is to welcome Kristen to her new position as area director. We're super excited to have her. And I sent the message to Chair Zons and County Manager Corpola about this transition. It's that homecoming, right? So it's she knows the area, she knows the county. And thank you for your support of me in this interim role. I mean, it was 2 months and it was fast and furious, and we tried to execute on a lot of things and may have hit the mark in some and missed in others, but it's continuous improvement, right? So, so speaking of continuous improvement, position vacancies. So Katie's position in the ag, she's taking a statewide role. She's still based here in Dunn County. And so a couple things with that. One, we've been in conversations about leasing the space, the county house that facilities was in for myself, for Katie, for Stacy, and other extension staff, and kind of that hub. So we're still in discussions with extension about what that looks like of the lease agreement that was proposed by Corp Council, also the need. And so is that going to be the right space? Is it going to be enough space? Is it going to, we have to purchase furniture and stuff like that. So that's still an ongoing conversation that we're having. Speaking of the ag position, I don't have official direction. We've been working with Katie and actually Jerry Clark and Alyssa Seafelt in Eau Claire to cover Dunn County. It's that triage that Louisa alluded to that already, of like leveraging other counties and their skill sets to benefit Dunn County. My hope is that Kristen will be able to come back in the next month, hopefully, with a concrete operational plan moving forward. Whether that be still leveraging the skill set of other counties moving forward. I don't know if we have an official decision from the Institute yet of where they want to be. But that does include Dunn County. Dunn County's in that conversation for that. The 4-H position. So I mentioned at the last meeting that I was here in July, because August I was on vacation. We posted that position. We recruited for that position. We have a failed search. And that was kind of intentional. So I'll give you the rundown. And I think the county would say it's tough recruitment, no matter which position you're looking at. We had a number of applicants, but none of the applicants rose to a level of feeling confident that we felt they could do the job. And I took the approach of, I don't want to put a square peg in a round hole and try and make something fit. And let's go back to the drawing board. I'm very thankful that Michelle and other folks have stepped up to the plate to keep the trains running in the 4-H program. That includes myself at times of coming into spaces and talking about that in my previous 4-H educator hat. So that position is moving forward to reposting again. And so I'm optimistic that this next recruitment will go better than the first one. But I just truly felt that I didn't want to put one, the county in a compromised position of trying to force something, and two, the organization will be better on the back end because we've taken our time. And actually, I would say that I attended with Michelle the 4-H leaders meeting a couple weeks ago. And the support, when I mentioned to them that we chose to fill the recruitment, they were also very thankful. They were like, yep, let's not force it. And they all stepped up to re-up their terms and actually double down on their volunteerism to make sure that the systems were appropriate and right to move forward in the next 3 to 4 months as we go down this recruitment path, hire somebody, onboard them. And I was very blessed that they are thankful that they stepped up and did that. So that's a testament to the program that is here in Dunn County, that they all were invested to say, I'll extend my term and make sure that we're on a good path. So those are the position updates. The budget workshop, I think, is the other piece too. And so I was on vacation. I know Kristen was on that call actually as a backfill, now as in a permanent role was nice. And thanks to Michelle for being on that budget workshop on the 13th of August. And so I know the budget is coming up in discussions and ongoing. So just want to mention that. And then last thing is my position. So I took a new role as assistant dean on September 1st. And so my role is serving the northern half of Wisconsin. So from Jackson and Trempealeau counties, all the way to Oconto, Marinette, and north, working alongside area directors to manage the team, manage the finances, manage the partnerships. So I'm very blessed and fortunate to be in this new role. And I will hopefully have an office here in Dunn County as well. So you get the best, and Kristen's plan is to also be here, have a main office here in Dunn County. So even if we're in the house or in the main office, whatever it is, that hub that we've talked about in the past, it's coming to fruition here in Dunn County. in one way or another. So the last thing I would mention, for those that are heading to WCA next week, the conference that starts on Sunday night, I don't know who from here is attending, if anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Extension will be
Think so.
there and say hi to us, and I think I heard that we got some giveaways, some swag to give away. So stop by our booth in the convention center, and I don't know what it is yet, but I know that they'll have something. And with that, those are kind of the updates. We have the contract, which we'll kind of get to here in a second, but maybe I'll baton it to Kristen to do maybe a more introduction, if that works.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah.
So thank you. My official start date was yesterday. So here I am. I've been working, prior to these roles, I was here in Dunn County for a number of years working as the family living educator. So sort of kind of Luisa's role, just back in the old model, if you will. I took a position 5 years ago as the area director for Area 5, which is Pope, Pierce, and St. Croix counties. So I'm vacating that position as I'm transitioning now to Area 6. Really excited to come back to this area. I live in this area, so I was doing a lot of travel for Area 5. My furthest county was an hour and a half, and now it's 20 minutes. So I'm really excited about that. But also just to work in this area again. It's where we live. It's where our passions are. I loved working here in Dunn County. It was really hard to leave. A lot of good partners, the local government, the committee, just having now seen another side of committees. I'm so thankful for coming back to this area. So, and we'll leave it at that. But so I'll transition here slowly. I am going to cover Area 5 until Jason decides to hire that position. So no pressure or anything. But so we're anticipating that to go to about December 1st. So my home office will be here in Menominee, so I'm excited about that as well. And then of course covering Eau Claire and Chippewa as well. So I'm looking forward to meeting with each of you. I'd like to, meet with you one-on-one and have coffee, learn a little bit more about you. I don't drink coffee, but I always say that. So, but to learn a little bit more about you, your role here in government, where we're at in Dunn County, and how I can assist moving forward, moving some of the county priorities. And I'll be meeting with county department heads and Chris too as we move forward. So, so I'm really excited about it. So thanks for having me.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments for either Jason or Kristen?
For both of you. I don't want to let you off easy. I can't tell you how disappointed I am that you can't come up with a qualified person to lead the 4-H and youth program in Dunn County. So are you telling me that their criteria has changed? That we don't have graduates in the ag school that are interested? Or are you telling me that we need somebody with a sociology degree? Tell us something. Don't just say we don't have anybody.
Yep. A lot of what you already said is valid. I will acknowledge in a competitive market like this, and I will be truthful that Extension had to do some self-reflection of our compensation packages to be competitive in this marketplace. And when I walked around the fairgrounds, that was still open. We were still recruiting for the position. And when I made targeted connections with some of our 4-H alumni, and the question they asked me is, what is your starting salary? Where do you think I could be in the next couple of years? And I would propose a number to them, and they're like, yeah, I already make more than that right now. And so it's competitive market. So it's not, we weren't attracting the qualified people that we would need to do the job. Like there were people that we require a bachelor's degree. We were getting high school diplomas applying and doesn't meet the base criteria to do the work. So I will tell you that Extension has recently upped their minimum starting salaries to be more competitive in the marketplace. Again, no cost to the county, no additional cost to the county. The state is covering all of that to bring us back up. So when I give a number out to individuals, Again, it's a starting salary, right? There's negotiations and that sort of thing, and there's upward mobility. But your other question of like, are we not attracting from the ag schools? Are we not attracting from, those? Yeah, we're not. And we are doing a lot of self-reflection of how are we marketing? How are we getting out? The ages of people jumping at opportunities in extension, they're still there, but not in the same avenues. I mean, I didn't come from an ag school. I came from a school counseling background, right? So we're kind of missing the boat on some of our traditional marketing strategies. We were marketing to the River Falls in the ag programs. A lot of our 4-H staff around the state are not coming from those colleges anymore. So we're reshifting our strategies and our recruitment and retention too. So all the above. I wish I had a better answer than to say all the above, but it's truly all the above. Competitive salaries, where we're marketing to, word of mouth is one of the best ways to do it right now. And I sat around the fairgrounds, as you know, and I was walking around saying, hey, I think you should apply. You'd be great at this job. And I did a lot of target marketing, and it wasn't fruitful. And because of that piece of like, you're not competitive. And I'm hoping that with our adjustment and our starting salaries that we're going to be more competitive. But it's a hot market, and that's no excuse, but it's the truth of the matter. That's outside of even extension. As I'm recruiting for positions in the area, I'm still doing some work in Area 7 for county support staff. It's tough market. I mean, county managers, county HR directors would tell you the same thing. I mean, actually, we had a conversation about some backfill, and it's like, you can't attract anybody at a halftime position. You have to full-time and benefits plus. It's like the housing market. You got to be at base price and plus. How are we there? And I don't have maybe the best answer, but that's the truth of the matter.
Can I make a suggestion?
You're welcome to, yes.
County government also has a hard time maintaining and attracting personnel, good ones. Healthcare center is a good example.
Mhm.
One building's been empty for 2 years. I think you have to look at where your competition is for employers, and I think you have to look no farther than the school districts. And it isn't a political statement, but the state of Wisconsin has been, in my opinion, been very flush, very giving to the school districts. Even a big jump now is apparently in the legislature. So until the state of Wisconsin comes along and funds county government so that they can do their job, University Extension needs to get on the bandwagon with county government and pressure state that, everything in education is not K-12 or the university. Campuses.
Yep.
So I mean, I take that for what it's worth, but I mean, you got to look at where your people are going. And I'm only guessing that I would guess that, K-12, offers probably quite a bit an advantage to a lot of these starting out people. I mean, I've known 4-H agents that have moved federal government jobs.
Mhm.
And I would guess that you've lost extension agents. I'm just speaking in agriculture, to those FFA positions. And we all want to live well. And if it means living well, being a K-12 instructor versus an extension educator, you're going to have a hard road. So that's just, as I see it, where the money goes.
Thank you for that feedback. Yeah, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? If not, we will move on to the 2023 extension contract. And Jason, I understand you had some changes, or you wanted to go over a few language changes?
Yep, just a couple of things, if I may, Mr. Chairman. I think the piece that, so this is the same contract. So pages 8, 9, and 10, and 11, excuse me. So 4 pages is the extension contract. And the shell of it, 90 98% of it, it remains unchanged from the last 3 to 4 years. But there are two changes that aren't drastic changes, but reflect current practice. And those are on pages 2 and 3. So on page 2, bottom section of that 3.2. And again, I don't know how this has happened here in Dunn County over the last couple of years, but FoodWise has generally come forward with an agreement that, and Michelle, maybe you can weigh in on this, has come to this committee or to go just to the county manager in the past?
Just to the county manager.
Okay, so maybe you haven't seen that agreement. So, but it has been signed by the county manager in the past. And that agreement is reflected in 3.2. So consider and assess opportunities to provide office space, desk and chairs and IT support for our FoodWise staff. You currently do that already, but it was part of a separate agreement that instead of having one contract, one agreement for FoodWise, why don't we just roll it into the same agreement? So that's current practice reflected now in section or bullet point 3.2. And then 3.3 is consider and assess opportunities to provide office space with a desk and chair for fully state-funded extension employees who serve in a regional or statewide capacity. This would be your area directors. It would be potentially me as assistant dean. It'd be Katie Wontok, and look at that and that leverage benefit. The second part of it is important to note too, that these regional and statewide educators will be provided state purchase technology and IT. So I have a state issued machine. So we're not asking the county to invest additional resources of IT and infrastructure and all those different things. Basically a place for us to hang our hat and our coat, a desk in an office space for us to do our work that is ultimately benefiting the county already. And knowing that we're going to get those other resources from another place. So current practice, I mean, you have Katie still working out of the office here. Stacy Evans has been here for a while. Again, just codified in the contract moving forward through that agreement that, yep, you even those educators that may come from Madison up for a visit and they're staying over for a couple of days, that they have a space to work out of to kind of hotel in, if you will. So those are the only changes in the contract for this year. Again, to really just reaffirm that's what's currently happening, to take one agreement, merge it into this one, and then 3.3 is the reflection of kind of current status with area directors and state staff that are working on behalf of the county. So
Anybody have any comments, questions about that change or thoughts? Okay, if not, do we need to take any action item on this, like forward it to the executive committee? And Chris, you have a,
I have a question. I was just, I'm sorry that I didn't look at it ahead of time. I was just looking at the funding piece and wondering if that's how it was budgeted. So am I correct in, yeah, is that the numbers used for the budget submission?
I thought so.
I was just trying to double check really quickly.
yeah, it would just be under the contractual services line item of the budget. Yep.
Right. I just wanted to make sure they matched, they married.
Yep. And for those that are new, I just will run and I think Chris for bringing this forward. It's so that it's a flat fee. So any sort of adjustments that happen beyond that are covered by the university. And you sort of pay. We strive for 50-50 split between state and county. And the other piece too, when you look at that first educator discount, that is a discount that is applied to the entire amount. But if you want to, some people in other counties that I'm working with like to say, well, it's 10,000 divided by the 4 positions. So it's $2,500 off each position. However you want to look at that, by having an office here in Dunn County, by having an educator work on behalf of the county, you get $10,000 off the top. So that's the discount of, again, our pledge, a continuous pledge to not only co-fund these positions, but to say we have extra skin in the game and we're willing to go that extra mile.
Good. Do we need to take any action, like forward this to executive or?
I don't know what's happened in the past. So I would defer to maybe Michelle in historical practice,
That's what
or
I'm-
maybe
that's what I'm
Chris would
asking.
know these
In-
for contracts.
Historically, this has been signed by the county manager after the November budget meeting,
Okay.
passing the budget.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so if there aren't any more questions about that, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. And thank you, area extension people. The troop that came into today's meeting. Wonderful. Chris, I understand you don't have like a complete report, but you can kind of give an update of some of the stuff you've uncovered in your economic development quest.
Absolutely. Investigative reporting.
Investigative reporting,
Yes,
yes.
exactly. So I have dove into economic development, have had a number of meetings, have met with other economic development economic development directors, met with Bob Bassani, met with the Dan Lytle and Lori. Her name is escaping me at the moment. Anyway, Lori from the Dunn County EDC, from their board of directors. I spoke to all, so there's a Monday morning group of county administrators and administrative coordinators who meet every Monday morning, and I polled them as to what they had, what their counties did with regard to economic development. And it's really honestly across the board, from some of the small counties in northern Wisconsin who literally invest $15,000 into economic development, to probably certainly in our area, the largest investment is Chippewa County, which puts about $190,000 a year into their Chippewa EDC. But I think as I am listening and speaking and asking questions, I think we'll be able to come up with a plan. I've done a lot of talking with others about sort of what kind of metrics do they look at with regard to performance and whether someone is doing what they're supposed to be doing, or I shouldn't say it that way, but is the money that's being invested creating
Is there a return on investment?
Absolutely. And so I think that I would commit that by next month, I should be able to bring you a written report and kind of summarize a lot of that information and make some, at least some options that you could consider for going forward.
Lovely. Anybody have questions for Chris? Larry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know where I came across it, but it's been in the last month or so that there is a statewide economic development corporation annual get-together meeting, enlightenment group that I think was meeting in Appleton just
Next week.
recently.
No, they're meeting next week.
Next
And
week.
actually, I'm gonna go, well, part of it anyway.
Okay, so you're going.
I am.
Okay, well, hurrah.
I'm gonna go pick people's brains. It does overlap with the Wisconsin Counties
Oh,
Association
okay,
conference too, so I have to kind of
Good.
split my
Glad we're
time a
gonna
little
be
bit,
there.
but yeah.
Thank you.
Jim, okay.
Yes.
Just to, Chris, so you mentioned Chippewa County at 190,000. One question that I'd like, I think it'd be helpful to know is which of these counties have both significant city and county
Yes.
EDCs, and how are they connected to each other?
Right, and that is one of the questions I'm asking, as well as what monies that they invest in their, like either their Chamber of Commerce or like local visitors bureau, which oftentimes are separate as well. So yes, trying to
Okay.
get some of that information.
All righty. You two ladies have been really quiet today. Okay, we'll move on to the next item, a quick update on the Visit Dunn County website. Talking with Dave, we're trying to finish that up. I'm actually going around the county taking lots of photos to fill up the site, since we haven't gotten a lot of submissions. So as I've been traveling around doing stuff, like I went through Rock Falls this weekend, so I actually took pictures of the Rock Falls that are now visible after 100 years after they took the dam out. And it's something I want to bring up to somebody on the county that that was a missed opportunity that you cannot actually see the waterfall because the way they built that enclosure or whatever, you can't see them. You have to climb over a chain link fence to actually see the
Oh,
waterfall.
for chain link.
Yes. So, not sure about why that was done that way, but that was a missed opportunity. But anyway, we've been trying to get representation of the entire county on that site. So, over the weekend, since I was going through southern Dunn County, I got a lot of stuff, some interesting photos through, Rock Creek and Peru townships as I was on that side of the river. So, but the hope is for that to be rolled out now here in the next a month or so. So that's the update there. Legislative items on the agenda, for those who are new on the committee, each year, we put together a legislative agenda that we think is important for the county to tackle, and then each committee is kind of tasked with coming up with items that we feel our committee feels is important. And for the last several years, the two items that we've had on legislative agenda have been broadband, which is the support for increased funding for rural broadband expansion, and then rural tourism, and again, supporting allocation of state funds to encourage and develop rural and agricultural tourism. For any reason, does anybody on the committee not agree with having those as two of our legislative items on the agenda? If that's the case, then we'll continue to support that. Is there anything else that anybody on the committee feels that we should add to the legislative agenda that outside of those two items that isn't already covered in the other items that are on the agenda? Nothing? Larry?
Well, I just think that, we have to make a request to have funding for rural tourism and, make that available. I don't know I don't think you exactly said it that way.
Yes, it's actually on
Oh,
it
okay.
is on the agenda.
Okay,
It says specifically rural tourism, support allocation of state funds to encourage and develop rural and agricultural tourism.
okay. And then just back to your Southern Dunn County trip.
Yeah,
If you could find out where they are working, putting in the broadband network stuff, it would be a great educational picture. Because they worked in our area in Springbrook, and those guys just pounded out the work.
they're fast.
And
I actually
like
was,
Tom said a meeting or so ago, it's really something when something this big is happening for
Pretty
us.
big deal.
It's a big
I
deal.
mean, our country hasn't done anything as big for a long time.
Yeah,
so
it's a big deal. So
yeah, and I was actually, one of the reasons I was driving around was I was looking for a shot. I needed a shot of the rolls of fiber optic cable sitting alongside, and I got a list of areas from someone I know at 24/7, and I couldn't find them because they moved on that quickly because they're putting the cable in that quickly. So it's pretty impressive to see how fast that's happening.
you want a shot of some good third crop hay, you can call me and you can.
I think I probably noticed that when I drove past on your place on E. Okay, so no additional items to add to the agenda, so we'll keep those two items in there. As is, we don't have any other actions that the committee is taking on, so we will just say our next committee meeting is Tuesday, October 11th at 4:30. Are there any announcements that anybody has about anything? If not, this meeting is adjourned.